This video is for the request of one of my viewers. It's from a long while ago. I think September. So yeah, like 3-4 months ago. Um, and this person through one of my videos. Of course, I've done a lot of videos in that 4 month span. I remember what he said and what he requested and asked. Blue, Sean, if you were to go back and do this all over again, that is kind of like starting your own, I guess, eBay business or whatever, kind of like doing online selling of coins and whatever. What would you do differently? What would you tell your old self that was just getting started? Now, in all fairness, I've been doing this selling on eBay since nearly the beginning. It was right around, I believe, 1999 where I began to really deep dive what eBay was all about. Of course, it was very much in its earlier days, so it was taking off quite a bit. Now, the earlier days of eBay from, the year 2000, 2001 or whatever, all the way up till now, we are in 2025. The platform has been alive nearly 30 years. A lot has changed. And, it used to be back in the day that people can pay for their stuff with a personal check or money order. Isn't that nuts? That, of course, that really, that made the whole process take longer than it really should, whereas today, by the time you pay online, check out, how we're used to doing it right now, and then shipment, the whole thing could probably take like 5 days. But yeah, I mean, things were different. So I'm not going to provide any sort of advice. And I had done a video very similar to this, probably about 2 years ago. So maybe it might be time for a refresher course. But I'm not gonna talk to you guys in terms of eBay the year 1999 or 2000. We're gonna talk about eBay the year 2025. Sorry. What would I do differently? Because obviously the coin market, throw in paper money and then exonumia and all that great stuff. The market is completely different than what it was 25 years ago. It is way up here. In the year 2000, it was way down here. Price of silver was like $6, $7, $8, an ounce. It was nothing. But not to say that it was easy to find silver at any coin shop because of how cheap it was. No, it wasn't. Excuse me. So if I were going to get started selling, and this is again one of those things that comes up quite frequently. How do I get started? With little to no money. Okay, now I can't really help you out with the no money part unless you have a pre-existing coin collection that you're ready to sell. All right, obviously there's going to be an element of education. It's going to be some time before you're comfortable enough to post your collection onto eBay. A collection that, quite frankly, you might have owned for many years, if decades. Or maybe if one got passed down to you, your dad passed away, all of his coin collection went to you. And then now you're figuring out that, yeah, it might be time to move on with some of these pieces, okay? And, you want to be as careful as possible to preserve the maximum amount of value for the coins that your dad or your mom or whoever had collected for so many years. Sure, that's going to be an easy way of getting into selling on eBay because you have instant inventory at your fingertips. Now, this is damn near impossible to do with zero money. At the very least, if you had a couple $200 or $300, you have a bank account, which is pretty important. The most important part to a bank account is that you can grab inventory from your bank, okay? And I know that quite a few people are not aware that you could do this. This is not some infomercial or whatever like that. I'm telling you that if I were going to get started and I had little to no money to work off of, understanding the prerequisites that's involved will help you determine if this is something that you could do. It's like eBay today. Okay, if we never experienced eBay, then we're never going to talk about some of the potential pitfalls of selling on the platform. Being that the fees are a little bit higher, they're higher than most of the other places, things like that. Maybe the platform is more centric toward its buyer client base than it is toward the sellers. There's a little bit of bias, recency bias. I don't know. There's a little bit more bias there. So if you didn't know any of that stuff, then obviously there's nothing to talk about. I actually just won a pretty big victory. Someone had slammed me for a number of negative feedback. I'm like, well, this guy's a liar, because we had gone back and forth through the message system on eBay. Reached out to customer support through their chat, and they're going to reverse all that. They do side with the buyers. If you have the digital trail of some sort of conversation that you've made with them, that's important. So I mean, you could have any level of success on the platform, based off of everybody else's I guess experience on there. Some you might want to take with a grain of salt, and some you might want to really trust. I might be one of those people. Because we're here January 2025, the 1099s are rolling in, and between eBay and whatnot, and this is kind of exclusive just to let you guys know, I had racked up nearly $400,000 in sales. Now this is just selling product. That does not at all represent my profit. My actual profit margin after doing some of the preliminary numbers is right around 17%. Okay, it's not a whole lot, but when you figured you'd score that into, let's say $400,000 is what I made gross annual revenue, and then you take out all the fees, you take out your cost of buying the inventory and everything involved. I'll probably end up somewhere around $70,000, as being kind of like my net profit that, I could use to pay bills, keep the lights on, grow the business, pay into advertising and all of that. So if you treat it like a business, okay, you have to work it like a business too. All right. So even before you even get started with, if you had $10,000 in equity to put into the business for inventory, or if you had $200 in a bank account, okay, please understand you need to start treating this like a business, because the IRS will not care if you don't treat it as a business or you do. It's like you made over $5,000 on the platform, and we need documentation. We need you to file your forms, your 1099s, 1099Ks, and all that great stuff. So, I mean, the first mindset, treat it as a business, get ready to run and gun and be productive at it. And, do all the things that you're expected to do as a business owner. Whether you make this amount of money or you make this amount of money, it really does not matter. So if I had to choose a few things, and the only place where I could access any inventory off of the amount of money that I have would be the bank. Okay, there are two things that are highly equitable that you can pick up at a bank. Okay, the number one thing, you see it, original bank wrapped rolls. Okay, whether they're done by the Fed Reserve or they're done by a third party company like Loomis, and some of those, then it really doesn't matter. But bank rolls, I have an easy time of obtaining the bank rolls from the bank as long as they're all BU, all of the same date. that's it'd be easier for you to sell. Here in 2025, we just got through an unprecedented year. We are entering another unprecedented year of sealed coinage, circulating coinage that has yet to make it out, and we are 2/3 of the way through the month. We are beyond that. Today's the 23rd day of the month, and there have been no 2025 coins reported so far, whereas last year, the first set of coins came out within the first 10 days. Lincoln cents, Roosevelt dimes, there is even a few nickels that popped out into circulation as well. So we expect to see that again this year, but the narrative doesn't change. It doesn't matter if there's some special event on the horizon, like the semi-quincentennial next year for 2026. That's going to be a big deal. And a huge coup for a lot of brand new sellers on the platform that really want to take advantage of something pretty amazing coming up next year. But, you can look back in 2015, you can look back in 2008. This is an opportunity that it was made available, and it's just continuing to get better. It is aging gracefully. There's some weird talk about Elon Musk believing that the Lincoln cent needs to be done away with, because how much of a waste it is to produce those coins. I don't know. But there has been some talk under this new presidential administration about possibly ditching the cent. That's going to bode as a huge development from all facets, from the coin collecting community, from just the banking system is another one. How will that go about there? And big companies too, big retail companies that have to figure out a way. Are they just gonna charge everyone up to the nearest nickel, or whatever? There are other countries that have already eliminated the cent, like Canada, and they've done fine, to this point. But this is where stacking OBW rolls. I recommend the lower denomination, Lincoln cents, nickels, and dimes. Because it's a lower cost of ownership, but the ceiling is so much greater. Take for instance last year, the 2024 nickel rolls. We found out that these particular coins are very low minted. All right, for whatever reason, it could be that they had other bigger plans for other things, or they looked at their cost sheets, and the bean counters went through all the numbers, and it said, we can afford to undercut production in certain areas. And then the powers that be said, well, let's go ahead and undercut production of dimes and nickels. Because nickels cost more than 5 cents to produce. I think it's like 6.5 cents. So that led to a pretty amazing resale, kind of jarring news last year, where Denver Mint rolls were selling for $200 to $250 a pop. Even today in 2025, the rolls are still selling for a $180 to $200. So they haven't really retraced that much. Philadelphia rolls still pretty big too. You can sell those for about $20 to $30 a piece. But all in all, selling bank wrap rolls, because it's easy to obtain, it doesn't matter what it is, you could sell every roll for a net profit gain. And that's going to be a good way of seeding your new eBay thing, whether you're going to convert it into a store and pay the monthly fee for it, or if you just kept it as a personal account and you did it about that way. It doesn't really matter. It's inconsequential. And one kind of shared idea, you're starting a business. You're going to get that 1099 form so long as you sell over $5,000 in product. But these are just a small little sample size of rolls that people are selling. Now, these don't quite indicate that the rolls are selling. We have to go look into the sold archive data, which goes over the last 90 days. And here's like a little smattering of some of the more recent ones. Now, these are a lot older. Obviously, we're going to be focusing and honing on like brand new rolls. Here's a full roll, $2 face value of 2022P. That's a very common year that they sold for $10. Okay, keeping in mind that they charged $5 for shipping, $5 for the roll. Someone bought it. All right, so $2 to $10. Yeah, pretty big difference. This person will probably end up profiting a couple bucks here. Let's see if we can find a little bit more newer coin. There's 2020. That wasn't a very good sale. This one right here is just original bank wrapped rolls. It does not specify if it's BU. The ones to get are full solid BU rolls. Here's a 2024 BU roll for $45. Okay, so again, we're looking at $2 face value versus $45. Okay, pretty big difference. I'm telling you, you could go and sell one roll of 2024P Jefferson Nichols. Go to the bank, buy it for $2, sell it online quickly as a buy it now for $45. And you could put some gas in the old gas tank. You could do it all within about a 24 to 48 hour period. So let's see. Yeah, there's just various things here. People selling like BU rolls of Morgan dollars and all that great stuff. Here's a OBW roll of 1993D Lincoln cents for $11. Again, kind of crazy, right? It's like that's almost 22 times face value. That's 50 cents in there. And who would have thought that old BU rolls from the last like 30, 40 years would be worth $10 a piece? And that's why I'm saying if you were considering investing, all right, in the hobby, and a lot of people tend to kind of gravitate towards like silver and, buying rounds and bars and, big ingots and all that great stuff. Yet it's like way too expensive. People are actually going to buying bankrolls for face value and just hoarding them. And this is what we call sealed equity. People can actually take that sealed equity 5, 10, 15, 20 years later on down the road and sell them for a huge, massive profit gain. Again, that's something that a lot of people don't know or not aware of, that particular opportunity does exist out there. Here's another 2024 roll, $20. Again, that's 10 times face. There's quite a bit on here, and they sell in virtually every conceivable variation. A lot of dates, people are selling quarter rolls, nickel rolls, cent rolls. I love cent rolls. They just do so much better in the market compared to anything else today. 1974D roll there for $12. Shoot, I mean, I'm not making stuff up like this. Here's 2024D Jefferson nickel roll. Again, that's our low mintage coin from just this last year, $153.50. So you guys kind of get the idea. OBW rolls represents a really good entry point into selling if all you have is a few $100s in a bank account, because the inventory is sitting right there. You just got to ask for it, Scratch my back, I scratch yours type of, deal. The other one, okay, surprisingly, it's the same thing that I've talked about last time, is Star Notes. Just go to the bank, ask for straps of $1 bills, pull out all the Star Notes that you can out of there. There's a lot to look for. Now, the reason why that Star Notes is relevant today is that the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, they are responsible for printing our paper money. They announced right around 2 years ago that they had acquired a non-sequential LEPE press that would do away with Star Note production, which means that if paper money were misprinted or damaged during the regular standard production period, that they could always go back and then just reprint that run. All right, they don't have to print a completely separate run with a star at the end of the serial number. And that's a huge deal because there are a lot of collectors of star notes. They are neat and interesting, and they provide a kind of like weird element of desirability that you didn't know you had. It's like, I didn't know I really loved star notes till I had one in hand. Well, there you go. So let's talk a little bit about how much these are selling for. Given the fact that they have discontinued production indefinitely of star notes, they just have no need to produce that, and they'll end up saving money. Now, you see the prices are really big, but you also have to take into consideration of what's being sold. Like this one for $375 is three $100 bills. So there's a lot of face value soaked up in there. So that's why I'm telling you guys to look for low denom to search through. You can search through a whole lot of them, okay, for a little bit of money. Whereas, is it much better use of your time to go through $10,000 and $100 bills, which is only going to end up being $100 bills? Or is it much more better use for you to go through $10,000 in $1 bills? Okay, you have a lot more opportunity to find, fancy serial numbers and star notes and things of that sort by going through 10,000 pieces rather than just 100. All right, it's all a volume game, ladies and gents, of what we're doing. And that philosophy also holds true to the selling part of it. Whatever you find, you turn around and you sell it right away. So let's find out some of the sold items here. And you'll see that even just one star note sells for $7. It's like someone coming up to you in the street and they're going to ask you, say, do you have a dollar bill? You're like, oh, sure. Not thinking any better. Maybe they needed to take the bus or the subway home or whatever. You give them a dollar bill. Guess what? They're gonna give you $7 back. You're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I want to trade this $1 bill for $7. Again, that's a premise that's so Greek to a lot of people, and yet we see it every day on eBay. Just the trade up from something of face value into something that is so much more is quite wild. So there's the duplicate star notes of 2013, that project. These star notes have various run sizes, like these $5 bills right here. A set of 3 sequential from a 640K run. They sold this with shipping for $37, and that's $15 face value. So this person made about $20. Again, by the time it's all said and done. Here's more star notes. Here's an old $100 bill star note, which looks to be uncirculated. That's sold for nearly double face value, or $189 plus $4 for shipping. I mean, are you guys beginning to see and get the picture here? A $20 bill for $34.51. Here's one of those 2013 duplicate stars, which have been just hot here recently because, again, star notes are gone from production. So that's going to raise the tides of all the ships. Everything is going to benefit because there has been a process change that adversely affects the ability to find any of these notes back in circulation. Star notes, I would say, are going to take off here within the next 2 to 5 years. It's going to be gradual, and if you're not in it and you're kind of like not involved with the community and the news and all that great stuff, then you won't know. All right, we're gonna come back, say 5 years from now, in 2030, and we're gonna be like, oh, I feel like, you guys remember star notes from 5 years ago? They stopped making them. I think I'm gonna go and start collecting them. And then when you go on eBay to buy a few, you're like, why are they $20-$25 a piece for just the regular ones? I could see a scenario, a situation where that is going to occur. And it has before. It has occurred in certain other various coins, that no longer circulate. We've seen a lot of things come and go over the years. We've seen a lot of things. I tell you, there's change is inescapable. So I mean, while you can, and while you still can find some of these notes, now is the time to strike. If you don't do it now, then you'll never be able to find some of the pieces that will have more value, like this $1 bill that sold for $250, guys. It's a fancy serial number, zeros and eights with a star. I mean, I can't make this stuff up. These are actual realized sales, and people are having a really easy time here with these. But you can see just up and down, just plenty of value. So some of them a little bit on the low side because that's how much they put for their buy it now without doing the appropriate amount of homework, because that's a star note that this person that sold for $2 that sells for $6, $7, $8. If there's nothing else going for it, that it sells for a lot more than what this person sold theirs for. So I think there's also a little bit of lack of education. So whatever you guys decide to get into, and the reason why that I brought up original bank wrap rolls and star notes is real simple. It's minimal education factor for everyone that's listening right now. All right. If you don't understand after this video, I'm sorry. Maybe reselling things like this, probably not for you, and that you ought to probably look elsewhere, to kickstart your eBay. So this is, in a nutshell, what I would do. I would target OBW rolls, star notes, as of today in 2025, to kickstart a new eBay platform. I'm not going to worry about trying to find that little tiny minor error on a nickel, or something that looks like the Queen Mary, but it really isn't, because it's got a little stain on the penny. No, none of that stuff. I'm going to go toward what is easy to understand for a lot of people, and it's highly liquid, easy to sell. These two things. And they're sourced at your local bank at face value, ladies and gentlemen. Hello. Come on now. So, yeah, I mean, strike while the iron's hot, because the iron is hot. We are in a kind of a weird space because we have a big event next year for the 250th anniversary, and I have a feeling that production is going to be lower in 2025 across the board on every single coin. So, yeah, again, we're coming into extraordinary times, and it's no better time to start your own eBay presence if you wanted to do something else to spice up your life. Especially for all you single folks out there, this is something that you can do and really get excited about it. All right, so that's what I wanted to talk about. In closing, this is kind of like part one of a series of videos that we're going to do to kind of really show you some of the things that you need to do differently in 2025 and beyond to be successful on the e-commerce space. Okay, we are going to be talking about integrating social media. We're going to be talking about live social media auction platforms like Whatnot and eBay Live and Fanatics Live. We're going to talk about all of these things and how you can leverage each and every single one of the things that are available to you, oftentimes for the free, and have a really successful career. The idea is we want to try and find something that will come in, swoop out our old 9-to-5 daily job that you guys hate, and get into something that you will love. And it has to start here. And what I'm telling you is not impossible. Now, it's going to be a little bit of a big deal if you're a little gun shy about talking to people. That's kind of important in order for this to work. You need to have the ability to go to the bank, go inside the bank with your $100 bill and say, hey, can I get 100 once? It's as easy as that. Now, there's no guarantee that you'll find a star note in 100. I found 10 star notes in a $100 strap. I found no star notes in a $100 strap. So again, you're playing the odds here. the more that you order, the more that you go through, the easier it is, the better your odds of stacking just an insane, really crazy amount of inventory that you can be proud of. And then you go out there, you're selling a dollar bill for $5, you're selling a $2 bill for $10. And then, there's gonna be that dollar bill, that big moment. You found that weird, funky dollar bill with a really cool serial number, and it has a star note that you sold for $50. So there's a lot of parity going on out there, a lot of ways where you can really make this work, and it's a lot of fun. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and post them below, and then we'll see what we can do to address this. But this is going to be one in a long series of videos that we're going to inject to you guys in 2025 to help you with your coin selling e-commerce needs. And I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. It was a pleasure talking to you guys. Happy hunting, happy selling, and I shall see you on the next coin video. Enjoy, guys.